All right, everybody. Hello and welcome. Welcome to my first live stream. I tried doing a live stream like 2-3 times before this, and I had problems with my microphone, but I think now I'm back and I think my microphone is working properly. So hello, everybody at home. I just want to let you know that the purpose of today's today's live stream is to help you with your English, right? This whole channel, American English with Dave, has been created for the purpose of helping people who are not native speakers, not native English speakers, to improve their English. So, good. The audio is working now. Renaissance Julie. Okay. So yeah, with good sound, great, very good. I'm very glad that you guys are here. Hello. First of all, thank you for joining my new channel. What's the last meal of the day? Supper or dinner, or the middle one is lunch or dinner? Okay, all right. Well, Skillix, that's a very good question. You know what? I think it really depends on who you are and where you're from. So, I would say, according to the definition, because I actually looked this up, the definition of dinner it could be two definitions. Either the biggest meal of the day, or the last meal of the day. So here's the thing: is that supper is the last meal of the day. So okay. Let me put it this way. For most Americans, it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, some people call dinner supper, right? So people in the South, my understanding is they'll say breakfast, lunch, and supper, right? The thing is that Americans eat dinner late. So here's the thing. Here's what's confusing about it, is that in Polish, right? I'm assuming most of my audience today is Polish, but for Polish people, it's like this. Your biggest meal of the day is like earlier in the day, which I actually prefer, right? So for Polish people, it's kind of like there's breakfast, and then like I feel like lunch is like a new thing, but I've noticed that Polish people will eat their dinner at lunch. So like it'll be 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and Polish people will eat like a piece of meat, some potatoes, and some salad, right? That, to me, is dinner, right? Lunch is something smaller. Lunch is like a sandwich. But if you're eating like salad and potatoes and a piece of meat, and that's your biggest meal of the day, then that's dinner. So I think because I grew up in a Polish household, supper was always a small meal for me. So it was like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then supper, right? So I don't know if everyone... I don't really know how Americans eat. I think Americans will the problem in the U.S. is that people work all the time. So they'll have breakfast, maybe. Sometimes they have breakfast. Then they'll have a small lunch because they only have like a half-hour break. So they eat something small, and then they work, and then they eat dinner when they get home. So sometimes people eat dinner at like 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, and that's their biggest meal of the day, which I think is really unhealthy. All right? So, alrighty. How many donuts did you eat today? I did not eat any donuts today, unfortunately. I don't have any, although I wouldn't call Pączki donuts. Pączki are like on another level, right? So, although I did think about going to Dunkin' Donuts and maybe getting a donut, but it's just not the same, you know? It's just not the same. And I don't really have any Polish stores around here. There's a lot of Ukrainian stores, but yeah, I guess Ukrainians typically aren't Catholic, so they wouldn't celebrate Lent, right? I don't know if you guys know the word Lent. Okay, I can use this as a teaching experience. Lent is the time, I wrote it in the chat. Lent is the time for Catholics that you, I don't know, don't do stuff. Like you're like, so the reason that there's, Pączki Day is that it's the day before Lent, or it's like right? You're not supposed to eat a bunch of stuff. You're not supposed to drink. You're supposed to sacrifice for religion, right? And that time period is Lent. And then Lent ends with Easter. I think Easter is the end of Lent, if I'm not mistaken. So there you go. There's a new word for you guys, Lent. Someone wrote and onions for dinner. Okay, so real quick, let's talk about onions, right? Because this is a word that a lot of Polish people pronounce incorrectly, right? It's I remember my ex-girlfriend in Poland. She spoke English really well. She lived in England for a few years, so her English was really good. And then we would sometimes speak English, sometimes we'd speak Polish. And I always thought it was weird. I'm like, why is she saying onion so weird? And then I realized that a lot of people in Poland are saying it this way, and they'll saying something like onion, right? Onion, and that's not correct, right? And I don't mean to laugh. I apologize, but it's so different than the actual pronunciation that it is kind of funny. So it's actually pronounced onion. It's so it's not on, right? It looks like on, but it's actually like under or underneath. So it's an like a U, and then we don't say on, right? We're not reading the I and the O like you would in Polish. See, that's the problem, is that Polish people will read an English word as if they were reading it in Polish. And obviously, we know you can't do that. So the word is pronounced yen. It's kind of like yen, like the Japanese yen, right? In Japan, they don't use dollars, they don't use euros, they use yen. So it's onion, right? It's together, onion, right? Now, we don't really stress the yen part, but that's how you pronounce it, onion, okay? So I hope that was helpful. Make sure to write in the comments if you knew that or not. What is the difference between invite out and invite over? Ooh, very good question. I saw two versions, and I'm wondering whether it can be used in the same situations. Thank you, Hayden. Very good question. No, invite out. So if I invite you out, that means that I am saying to you, hey, do you want to go out? And out means outside the house, right? So I'm not inviting you to my house. I'm inviting you to a restaurant. I'm inviting you to a bar. So we'll say, hey, do you want to go out tonight? Right? Like last night I went out. So if someone invites you out, they're inviting you to a public place where you can eat or drink or whatever. But if someone invites you over, that's over your house, right? That's what we say. I think a lot of people don't know this, but you would say, hey, do you want to come over? If you want to come over means, do you want to come over to my place? Do you want to come over to my apartment? Do you want to come over to my home? Right? That's what it means. So if I'm talking to my friend, I'm like, hey, you want to come over? Or, hey, can I come over? Can I come over your house? Or I'll just say, can I come over? Right? So it's like you're going over to someone's house. But if you're going out, you're going outside of someone's house. So I hope that is helpful. Yes. Polish lunch is called second breakfast. Yes. So what do you eat for second breakfast? Like, for some reason, I imagine like pancakes or something. Like, that doesn't sound like breakfast. Okay. Leszpol. Leżeć, lie, or lay? Ooh, yeah, that's a good question. I actually don't know the answer to that because a lot of native speakers don't know. So it's not really that big of a deal. No native speaker is going to notice unless they studied English, right? So you could say lie down or lay down, and one of those is correct and one of those is wrong. But I think as native speakers, most people have no idea. So I would say if you want to check that out, I would recommend Googling it. I just don't know the answer off the top of my head. What is the difference between to think of and to think about? So to think of is like if you have an idea. No, it's if an idea comes into your mind. For example, oh, I just thought of something. It's like an idea just entered my mind, right? To think of something. typically, right? I'm sure there's other ways to use it as well. But to think of something, it's like, oh, right now, I thought of it. But to think about is like almost like you're daydreaming, I would say. So for example, you could say, I'm not sure how to do it. I need to think of a plan, meaning like I need to create a plan. But if someone says, hey, do you want to go to the store with me? And you could say, you know what, I need to think about it. So it's like an idea you already know, and you need to contemplate about that idea. You need to think about that idea. That's what comes to my mind off the top of my head. Maybe there are different explanations, but that's what I'm thinking of right now. How long do you... instead to stay in America. The word is intend. How long do you intend to stay in America? What country is your next destination to settle? So, I'm going to be back in Poland in May, right? So, as of right now, I have my tickets. I fly to Poland May 1st, and I'll be there for like 5 months. So, that's my plan, is to spend the summers in Poland. So like every summer I want to be in Poland, and then when it gets cold, I'll be either in Poland, or I'll either be in Spain or Florida, one of those two. What's the biggest pros and cons of living in Florida? Well, the biggest pro is the winter. The winter is very nice. The summer is terrible. Like, we hate the summer. It's way too hot, humid. It's just absolutely terrible. No one in Florida likes the summer, and nobody visits Florida in the summer. The summer sucks because it's way too hot and way too humid. Other than that, I guess, if you like the beach, then I guess Florida's cool. And if you like old people, then Florida is cool. But other than that, Florida's pretty boring. It depends where you live in Florida, obviously. If you go to Miami, it's going to be more interesting, right? South Florida. But if you live in Central Florida or North Florida, it's not very interesting. So, all right. Is there any difference between those two sentences? I'm going to my grandma's today, and I'm going to my and I'm going to go. I'm going to my grandma. I'm going to go to my... No, okay, so the question is, are there differences between these two sentences? I'm going to my grandma's today, and I'm going to go to my grandma's today. So essentially, they mean the same thing. I'm going to my grandma's is like it's like I'm going. Okay, I don't know how to... I'm going to my grandma's. Whereas I'm going to go means I will go. So the difference is that one, you're just saying I'm going to my grandma's today, and the other one is saying that you will go to your grandma's. I'm going to go, right? Going to is the same as will. So essentially it means the same thing. I don't really think it makes a difference which one you use right now. And this is a good question from Johnny Fox. He said, because a lot of people don't know this, he said, I'm going to my grandma's today, apostrophe S. I think a lot of people in Poland and maybe in other countries would say, I'm going to my grandma today, right? Instead of saying my grandma's, they would say, I'm going to my grandma. But that's weird. We would never say, I'm going to my grandma. We would say, I'm going to my grandma's. Now, why do we say grandma's? Or I'm going to my mom's, right? I think a lot of people would say, I'm going to my mom. But that's weird. If you say I'm going to my mom, that sounds like you're a dog. And your mom is like calling you, like, hey, come here, come on, boy, come here, come here. And then you run to your mom. That's going to your mom, right? Physically, like you are physically walking to her, right? But if you're going to her house, or if you're going to her home, if you're going to her apartment, then you'd say, I'm going to my mom's. It's apostrophe S. But we don't say, instead of saying I'm going to my mom's house, we just say I'm going to my mom's, and the house is understood. I hope that makes sense. Do you celebrate Valentine's Day in the U.S.? Yeah, it's a big holiday here. Okay. why do we pronounce I in the word dinner differently than you usually? What do you mean? Dinner. It's an I. Dinner, just like sit, hit, fit, right? That is the same. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Lent is like post in Polish. I think Lent is post in Polish, yeah. Let's see. Can't we just say that we refrain from doing things, eating gross and so on? Yeah, sure, you could say that. Why you decided to create new channel. Okay, great. So Bert, let me go ahead and correct your sentence here. Instead of saying why you would say why did you decide, right? Why did you decide to create a new channel? Well, I wanted to have a channel in English, right? A lot of people have been asking me about this, and recently I did a few live streams in English on my other channel, and I see people liked it. So I wanted to create something that's just in English. That way I could, give you an opportunity to listen to English as well. But also, I'd be curious to see if other people, other than, obviously I think right now a lot of the people who are watching this channel are my fans from my other channel. But ideally, I'd like to create some content for people from all over the world. Can you pronounce Worcestershire sauce? Yeah, so my understanding is that it's pronounced Worcestershire. But a lot of people say it like Worcester or Worcester. Yeah, people don't know how to say it, but I think it's Worcestershire sauce, but I could be wrong. What's the difference between under and underneath? Underneath would be like, kind of, if I have a cup, I would say that my hand is underneath the cup. But I guess underneath is for something that can be removed, I think. I could be wrong. Because I can remove this cup, right? It's underneath. But if I go under the bridge, underneath the bridge, no, I guess I could say underneath the bridge too. So I don't know, honestly. I think it's the same thing, but I could be wrong. Next time, when you are in Poland, will you let us know? I mean, people from your main channel, what city you are in. I don't know, maybe. Maybe. But, it's honestly, it's really, one thing that is really, that I guess I don't really like about being, I love being in Poland, but what I don't like is, like, people looking at me or like, it's like I'll be doing things and people will be just staring at me, right? Obviously, my channel is pretty, it's big enough to where people know me. And I feel like when I'm in public in Poland, I have no anonymity, I think is the word. So it's actually quite stressful. It's really stressful going outside and worrying like, oh, is someone going to see me? Is someone going to notice me? I'll go out on dates. I'll be having dinner with people, and people will literally just enter the restaurant and be like, hey, could I have a picture? And I'm like trying to have dinner with my date, or I'm eating, or, so it's really, it's a little stressful, honestly. So I feel like I'm just going to wear a mask the whole time I'm in Poland so people don't recognize me, because it is really stressful. So Polish school, we mostly did the exercises like put something into the brackets, not pronunciation. Right. When I was a child, I had lessons with natives, but it was so long ago. They were from UK and California. Okay. So real quick, I want to bring something to your attention. Brackets, right? Brackets are these little things around a word, and that's the British word for brackets. In America, we say parentheses, and then brackets are like square, right? That's a bracket, and parentheses are round. So that's the difference for Americans. What's the difference between the pronunciations of these words? Where and where. Where and were. So the first one is where, like where are you? Air. Where? It's like air, like we breathe the air, right? Air. Where. And were is like were. Where were you? Is it bad to say wanna, gonna, gotta? No, absolutely not. That is what that's how people talk. I want to go to the store. Like I can't imagine an American saying I want to go to the store. That sounds really weird. So wanna, yeah. What do you think about the right to possess a gun in the U.S.? Is it bothering for you or not? I would say, does it bother you? Does it bother you or not? Oh man, that's like a long topic. I think constitutionally, it's in the Constitution, so I think that's fine. But honestly, after living in Europe, I prefer living in Europe because I don't think people have guns, and I actually prefer that. Yeah. So, but I don't think it really bothers me when I'm here. I'm not like worried about it, but I do prefer. I think our society, like Europe, where there are no guns, is better. What does the phrase to knock the wood mean? Okay, knock on wood. So knock on wood means like it's to not jinx something. How do we explain jinxing something, right? So when you jinx something, it's like you say something, you're like, "Oh, I've never broken my leg." Knock on wood. And knock on wood, so you actually like hit some wood, right? You knock, like knock, that's knocking. So knock on wood. If you say something like, I've never broken any bones, knock on wood, it means, I hope I don't. Something like that. I don't really know how else to explain it, but it's like saying, I hope that continues that way, yeah. All right, so guys, I'm going to... in about 5 minutes, I'm going to have to end this live stream because I have a Spanish lesson at 12 o'clock. Although, that's 6 o'clock for you. Someone's asking about my Spanish progress. Yeah, it's all right. It's not bad. All right, so let's see here. Yeah. I have a question about country names. As I know, we add the if a country is some group a group of smaller provinces or state, or if country, it is an islands group, or why can't we say the Indonesia? Because there's no S. So it's not like that we say that islands have the, it's just islands that have an S. So the Philippines, the S shows that it's not the Philippine. It's not one Philippine. It's many Philippines, right? And that's why it's the Philippines or the Bahamas. But Hawaii is just one. And obviously there are multiple islands in Hawaii, but the name Hawaii is just one. So we say Hawaii. We wouldn't say the Hawaii, but we could say the Hawaiian Islands. That's because the islands are multiple. So the Indonesian Islands. Then we can say S. But I see your point. It's not about islands. It's about the name of the country, right? It's not the Bahamas because it's multiple islands. It's the Bahamas because there's an S at the end. Okay. Hey, Dave, what do Americans think about people speaking English with other accents? I mean, I'm this kind of person who is always so stressed about the accent, although my English is not very bad. Yeah, you have to stop worrying about that. I think I've made some videos about this, but here's the thing. And I made this video, by the way, if you have not subscribed to Institut Lingvistiki, I'm making videos for them. And I made a video last week, and I talked about how I think 4% of the English that is used in the world. So I want you to think about, like, we have 100% of the English used in the world, okay? Only 4% of the spoken English that is used between two native speakers. That means that 96% of English that is used is between either a native speaker and a non-native speaker, or two non-native speakers. So it is very normal for us to hear accents. Although I will say some people, especially in America, have trouble understanding accents. That is true. They might have trouble because they're not used to your accent. But if you speak to a native speaker who lives outside of their country or works with people from other countries, that's normal for them. Like, there's no reason to stress out about it. That is very normal. But I will say this, I've experienced this in Poland as well, where I've been in Poland and I'll go to a store or like a restaurant and I'll start speaking Polish to them, and then they'll speak English to me, and I'm like, no, I'm speaking Polish. And they're like, oh. So I think sometimes when people aren't used to accents, they're just like, wait, what? They're confused. But eventually they'll get used to it. So don't worry about that. There's no reason, there's absolutely no reason to be stressed about speaking English with an accent. There's so many accents for native English speakers. And, you know, there are so many people from other countries in America, in England. That's normal. I think the problem is that, like, maybe Polish people in general are very hard on each other. They're very critical, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think you can write in the comments. But in my opinion, I feel like Polish people are very hard on other Polish people when they're like, oh, he didn't say that right. You know, he used that word wrong. And we don't really do that in English. Not so much. A little bit. But like, Polish people are really, really hard on that. And also, there are few people in Poland who speak Polish that are not native speakers. So it doesn't happen very often. But in the US, in England, it's just normal that people have accents. Some people might be annoyed with it, but it's normal for us, so don't worry about it. There's no reason to worry about it. All right. Okay. Oh, here's another question. But why is it the Czech Republic? Yeah, that's a good question. I guess because it is a republic, right? So things like republic, you're going to have the. So it could be like the Republic of Poland, the Czech Republic, right? The Republic of France. So for whatever reason, republic is just the. Yeah. And same thing with the United Kingdom. There's no S there, but we also say the. So generally, I see your point, but for whatever reason, with republic, that's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. David, do you read books? Do you prefer reading in English or Polish? I don't read books, no. When I was young, I read a lot of books, but now I mostly read memes. I love memes. And no, the only book I've read in Polish is my own book that I wrote because I had to proofread it. I had to double check that everything was okay. So I've actually read my book, I think 2 or 3 times. But that's literally the book. My first Polish book that I wrote is the first Polish book that I read. So there you go. All right, guys, I have to finish because I have my... Oh, hi, you handshaker. Yeah, did you guys watch the video today about the handshake? So, one last question. I got to go. Do you consider Americans friendlier than Polish people? On the surface level, yes. Absolutely. So, yes, friendly for sure. More hospitable, probably not. Hospitable, hospitality, right? Being a host. A host, like... If I'm in my home and I invite you to my home, you are my guest and I am your host, right? So it's a guest and a host. The host is the person whose house it is. So if you are a good host, you are hospitable. I know it's kind of weird. So Polish people are more hospitable than Americans, but I would say that in public, Americans are friendlier. So, guys, again, I got to go. Thank you for being here. I'm like I said, I'm going to try to do these. I know today's video is short, but I just wanted to test it. I just wanted to try it, make sure it's working. Thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Please recommend my channel. I know my channel is small right now, the new channel, but please recommend it to your friends and family. I'm going to be making more videos. If you have any suggestions for videos that you'd like to see, send me a message. You can email me. You can message me on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. I'd love to hear from you and have an idea of what you'd like to see in the future. So thank you for being here. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a wonderful night. Bye.